Welcome to Phoenix Talks. It is Micah Grant, also known as Brenda Wolf, and I am joined by my lovely
Hello.
co-host, Diane, once again. Oh my goodness, we have a juicy conversation to have today. Neither one of us really know where it's going to go. I asked Diane in the middle of the week, so what are we going to talk about? And your response was,
I missed you because I had an incoming phone call. Sorry
oh
about that.
no, oh no. Okay. Well, we're just introducing what the topic is going to be. And I had just said that I had asked you, what are we going to talk about this week? So I'm actually going to let you describe.
Oh, well, I never know what we're going to talk about either. And I think I'm going to think about it all week, and I don't. I never think about it because I just got other stuff going on. So when he sends me the message of, what are we going to talk about this week? I immediately go into, oh, darn it, I forgot to think about it this week. Let me get into that zone to connect and see. And then before I even finish, boom, there it is. And then I end up just messaging you.
And in that
Always
message was we were
beautiful.
going to talk about surrender, which, that
Yes.
perfect example of, well, I don't know. Okay, sure, I'll just open up. Oh, there it is.
Yes.
Surrender is basically the act of letting go and letting be. And so many times we think about waving the white flag when it comes to surrender. Like, I give up, I give up. No, no, you win. No, this isn't a competition. Not in this conversation.
Yeah. Yes. So when I think of surrender, I think of uh like like you were saying, the white flag, but then like letting go.
Mhm.
That's what I think of. To me, surrendering is just letting go and letting whatever is be what it is, and just deciding to see it as an opportunity to learn. That's
Absolutely.
all. So in order to get to that surrender, we need to allow ourselves permission to reflect on ourselves in a way that gives us the depth and compassion that we need in order to let go of control and trust and believe in ourselves. Because we can't let go of control without trusting and believing in ourselves. So you have to trust your own intuition. You've got to decide that you are at a place in your life where you will instead
I do apologize.
realign.
YouTube on my phone so that I can see if anybody's in the chat. I forgot.
It's all good. And we
All
are live and things happen. I have a dog and she's beckoning me, so I'm traveling to
yeah,
grab
she
my
likes to wait
groceries.
until we're on air,
Yes, of course. Of course, of course.
which is absolutely 100% fine.
Okay.
When we talk about letting go, I'm going to give a scenario that's just coming to mind to try and help set the stage, so to say. Um, you feel like there's you being the viewer, that there's something that you need to do. It's just itching at you. Something that's just rumbling underneath the surface, and everything around you just completely feels like it's crumbling. Meanwhile, you're stuck in whatever's going on around, and this thing is just nudging and nudging and nudging, and you can't stop thinking about it. But the moment that you let all of the other stuff go and start the movement towards what it is that has been calling you, everything starts to make sense. And you're like, oh, that's what it was. When you surrender to those internal feelings, into that gut instinct that every human being on the face of the planet has. I don't care what race, what country, how old, how bizarre. You are as a person. You have that gift. Every person does. Want to test it? I say this to almost every one of my clients at some point when I talk to them. If you want to test and start to build your own gut instinct and surrender to being guided in life. Ask the body a question to decide an answer. The first answer you get is unfiltered, unbiased, and the exact thing you need to do, however uncomfortable it is. Sometimes it's like, you want me to do what? I mean, Diane, how many times have you experienced that where you've just tapped inside, just gone in and said, okay, should I do? Yes, I don't want to.
That's why I'm living in the area that I'm living in, because my intuition is driving this vehicle. But with that surrender comes opportunity, comes growth, comes learning, comes healing. It's exactly where I'm meant to be. And that's because I trust and surrender to whatever is meant for me to unfold. But I believe in myself enough to make healthy choices that are aligned with who I truly am as a person. And that's what I teach my clients is to, you got to let go of control of your circumstances, because that's still telling me that you feel unsafe. Who's making you unsafe now? You're set, your boundaries are set. This is, you got all the check the boxes going on. So now who is it? It's you.
Yeah.
Let go.
And while a lot of times you'll hear me talk about how the body is addicted to routine, and that it will want to nudge into what we've always done, healthy or not.
Yeah.
I mean, once we have that mind-body connection where we're complete oneness with making sure that the body is doing what we want it to in accordance to what our consciousness wants it to do.
Right.
So
the fun part in the tarot.
Exactly.
Surrender.
Surrender.
Allow yourself to experience something new.
Right. And knowing that the body, when we make those snap decisions to make a change, we can think about it, we're excited about it, and the body's like, yeah. I mean, we can go to sleep at night saying, tomorrow I'm going to be different. Tomorrow I'm going to do this different. And you wake up and you do the same thing you did the day before. It has to be 100% conscious. Now, keeping that in mind, pattern interrupts. And this is where the surrender comes in. Interrupting the pattern by saying, hey, body, what do I need to do? What is the best option? When it doesn't have time to think about the routine, when it's outside of the routine, okay, boom, now it's in line with you. Making that a daily, making that a lifestyle, that's where the surrender comes in.
Making the healthy choices, aligning yourself with your authentic self, and letting yourself allow life to show you what opportunities are available to you, if you're open to things being opportunities.
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're happy with complaining about your life, okay, go you. I congratulate you. That's your path, that's your journey. How's that working for you?
You know what? Let's give them examples of what it looks like to like a control that is sabotaging, because sometimes people may not recognize what that looks like. Depends on what they experience and what dots they've been able to connect. So, like, for example, if you're looking for a job,
Okay.
Maybe don't limit the genre in which you're seeking, or maybe don't limit yourself to the title of the position. Allow yourself to expand into whatever avenues present themselves to you. That
I had
might
a woman sit across from me just last night, and it made me think about the topic for today. I had a woman sitting across from me just last night during a reading, and I went through, because a lot of times when I do readings, I will just say what comes through, and then once I'm done rambling, okay, what did you want to know? But in that, once that occurred, She was like, well, I wanted to ask about the job. Oh, the one you hate? Yeah. Okay. Well, sometimes we don't get the kind of job right away that we want, and we have to find the bridge. We have to surrender to the fact that there is a journey that has to be gone on in order to get to where we want to go. It doesn't just happen with the snap of the fingers and a few magic words. Trust me, life would be completely different on this planet if it could.
Right. And if you didn't like it, you get to learn why you didn't like it, and then you get to decide what you choose next time so that it doesn't align with that.
Yes. And we are not saying surrender to bad. Don't give in to bad. What this is offering in this scenario is that you get to. You get to receive, you get to give. You get the opportunity to maintain while being open to the doors that could be passing you by if you weren't so focused on how much you hate the situation that you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Is that where you want to take that? Another
Yeah, well,
scenario. Shoot.
you know what? Asking yourself why you feel about things, um, why you feel that way about anything really in your life, helps you get to know yourself. What made that thought come up? Ask yourself questions like this. Um, why is my body reacting to that, and why am I triggered internally? Just ask yourself everything, question even something that always felt a little off to you, but it was like, yeah, whatever. you know don't question yourself. Question why you're feeling that way, and investigate it for yourself and discover why you were right. Then it'll help you believe in yourself too. So ask yourself, when you hear your thoughts come up, or you feel yourself wanting to take actions towards something that is an old pattern that's going to not align you with yourself, um, go ahead and start asking yourself these questions.
Right. And when you're in a career position that you're not exactly happy in, is it because of the people that you're around?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because of your perception of the people you're around?
Mm-hmm.
Is it because of feeling a certain way about the way that things are being handled based on observation? And instead of attempting to catalyze change, are you internalizing it all and just accepting it that that's the way that it is? And I don't have time to go and look for another job. I don't have time to do what I want to do for me. So I just have to surrender and give in. Well,
No, that's not what we're talking about.
no, no. Everybody
Yeah,
has the same amount of time in a day. Doesn't
yeah.
change. I've actually personally made a switch from saying, oh my God, that was a long day, as if it's going to be a different amount of time from one day to the next. Nope,
Right.
same time. Busy, full.
Yeah.
Changing just a few words in how we self talk can make a huge difference, because when you have stopped to think about not having enough time, how much time did it actually take for you to have that thought get lost in the train that just happened and occurred? Oh, 5, 10, 15 minutes just passed by. Oh, you were looking at your phone and you were talking to somebody about it. Well, in that time period, the things that you wanted to actually get done, you could have gotten done and surrendered to the fact that you had exactly what you were asking for.
Sometimes we miss opportunities because we're trying to control the outcome. We have our projected expectations, which is limiting.
Oh, yeah.
But we have those projected expectations because that's how we're limiting and sabotaging ourselves. Right, Marie?
They're also based in how we're programmed growing up. I don't exactly like using that word, and until I find a replacement, that's how it's going to come across. We're all programmed as we grow up.
Mhm.
We, for the first 7 to 10 years of our life, we are just sponges taking in everybody else's perception of the world
Yeah.
and trying to get our own filters of understanding. So, are your perceptions real or are they programmed?
Mhm.
Are they yours or what you've created a belief in?
Yeah, so
Belief is just a
Steve,
thought that you think over and over.
uh, a lot of the control is attached to, and what you're talking about is attached to um, sometimes this search for perfection and this desire for perfection. So I'm calling out the perfectionists over there.
I'm going to tag it shortly. Go ahead.
Um, it's one of those take the pressure off yourself moments, and realizing that I'm still trying, even though you've improved dramatically, in what ways are you still trying to control outcomes based on your limiting of yourself? So, in what areas are you still limiting yourself because you have this projected expectation of an outcome?
Yep.
You may not, you know, uh,
The glasses
let me use an example of,
for it.
in dating, you try to look for a financially a better off person than yourself because expectations and whatever. That's may not be what the universe has in store for you. You can't
Nope.
choose who you fall in love with or what
So,
their life circumstances
and
bring
the
them.
crazy thing about perfection, it doesn't exist.
Exactly. It's
No,
self-imposed.
it, it it's an illusion.
Yes.
So if
Whatever
nothing
your
is perfect, we could easily say that everything is
yeah,
already.
yeah. But it's
And if you
different for
surrender
everybody.
to imperfection,
Yeah, it's different for everybody though. So whatever
yeah,
your idea of perfection is, then that might be what your ambition is towards yourself, your goals for yourself, let me look forward to becoming a better version, highest potential of yourself.
right. And there are times where, like in singing, I'll listen to somebody's voice or how the song was orchestrated, and I'll think to myself, "Oh my God, that was perfect for me.
Yeah,
All the notes were hit, the tempo was right, the balance was great, and it all just meshed and blended so that it was my perception of perfection."
yeah,
And that's where we get tripped up, is that we tend to see others' perfections in our perception
mhm.
and think that we're supposed to be the same way.
Which ties
My
into our
intuitive,
conversation.
yeah,
Yeah, it
my
ties into our
intuitive connections are completely different than Diane's.
yeah,
I'm going to see things that she doesn't, and vice versa. That
yeah.
doesn't make either one of us more connected than the other.
This ties into our conversation from the last time. Is you can't compare because you're not the same person as they are. So you need to discover what your, special flame inside will bring you in this life by leaning into it.
Surrender to not being everybody else.
Yeah.
Surrender to being you.
You also have to
100%.
surrender to the you also have to surrender to the idea of not being liked by everybody.
That's tough,
You don't
especially
have to be
for the
liked by
people
everybody.
pleasers that watch this.
You don't have to be liked by everybody. Why do you care what their opinion is? Because does that mean that you're comparing yourself to them? Are you judging yourself based on their life experience? You didn't live their life. They lived their life. You lived your own life. You got your own set of experiences that brought you to where you are. So don't fall into those little sneaky traps along the way that are all forms of control.
Yeah.
You trying to control outcomes to feel safe. Have to trust yourself.
Yeah. And you can surrender
Mhm.
and give in and be the version of what other people want. It works for a lot of people. And they're happy. And they feel fulfilled. Yay. How about you? Where are you at? Where do you feel like you are? Do you want to surrender to constantly feeling like you have to live up to expectations that you can't live up to because they're not your own?
Yeah.
And that's what you need to ask yourself. And if people look at you like you're a freak, treat you like you're a freak, well, that's on them, not you. Their perception of you is theirs. Surrender to
So,
the fact that you have things in life to give, that you're
yes, and
a human
it
being.
it helps it helps you to surrender if you shift your perspective and recognize that their response or reaction to you is just an indicator to whether or not they are aligned with you. If it doesn't feel right, it isn't right. It doesn't make them bad individuals. There's no harm, there's no foul. It's just, it's a vibrational thing. You're not aligned. Move
Oh my
on.
goodness, we have an amazing comment from the live chat. Thank you, Carla. You are a villain in someone else's story. Just don't be a villain in yours. I love this.
Oh, I
Thank
love
you.
it so
That is
much.
perfect.
That's so great. I love it. Thank you.
You don't have to be your own villain.
Yes. Yes.
And, there's a theme going on in the world right now. A lot of people that I've been talking to have been dealing with this very thing, where they're trying to find their authentic self, and people are trying to hold them back, whether they realize it or not, because they're uncomfortable. They don't know this other you, this person that you're becoming. You aren't changing, or are you? Does it matter? No. Only if
It's
you make
both
it.
at the same time. It's both.
It's both.
It's both. You're changing from the programmed version of you to the authentic version of you.
Exactly.
Yes. So you're not changing because you always were you. You're just removing what wasn't.
Who are you? I don't know you anymore. Well, you probably never really did then.
Yeah.
And that's okay. How somebody else, and I can't say this enough. I don't know if I say this every time in some point or not, but how someone else feels about you is not your accountability. It is
Mhm.
not your responsibility.
Right.
Your responsibility and your accountability is to be true to yourself and how you present
Mhm.
the world. That's where it ends. If people can't handle that, that's not your problem. Do it with compassion. Don't be a dick. That's it.
Yes. Yes. Communicate always respectfully. Always let it pass through those gates. Is it true? Is it relevant? Is it kind? That is so important because that will maintain respect and compassion.
And when you're setting boundaries, which we've talked about in previous conversations,
Mhm.
you have to be okay. When you set those boundaries, you have to surrender to the fact that setting those boundaries is going to be lonely at times, because it will break connections because people can't handle it.
Mhm.
And that's okay too. It hurts. Yes. And that's one reason why so many people have trouble surrendering and moving into who they actually are, because they're afraid of being alone. They're afraid of being shunned
Right.
because they weren't taught how not to be and how not to take it personally on such a deep level that it prevents them from becoming the person that they truly can. Who, here's the fun part, the more authentic that you present yourself, the more that people are going to be attracted to you who are in line with you. And these other people who aren't begin to disappear.
Right.
It takes time.
It does. You have to surrender to allow life to unfold to bring you those opportunities, but you can't be shut down. So you need to be open. That's what the surrender's about. The surrender's about opening up to experiences that may be uncomfortable, but that's an opportunity to find out why they're uncomfortable and decide if you want to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So you have to learn what it is that you're controlling in order to not control it and surrender, whilst you're controlling your decisions on the actions and behaviors that you're going to shift that are more aligned with who you are. So you're basically refocusing that energy of control into the productive, self-serving, and promoting energy, self-discovery.
Yep.
Yeah.
If you continuously put out that you know what you don't want, you're going to get more of that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not ready and you're not willing to be okay with, all of those get rich quick schemes that we see, you only see the end product. Remember that. None of it happened overnight.
Yeah.
Even though there's a lot of psychology that goes on into making those advertisements so that it feels like it. Those who are awake to it keep scrolling. Those who are in panic stop and watch. Oh, well, they got this quickly. Maybe I can do the same if I just, not always. But we're not, be careful about that rabbit hole. Don't want to, we'll just dangle that branch out there, and then just kind of swipe it off for a moment. So, but the point that I was trying to make is when you see people who are successful, you only see where they've gotten to.
Right.
And they had to surrender and work hard to get to where they are. Diane and I have our own problems internally that you'll never know about. We have our own struggles to get to where we're going that you'll never know about. You'll only see the interims.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I think all of this ties in together with every conversation that we've had, because all the ways that we control ourselves are all the ways that we're judging ourselves, all the ways that we're setting expectations, all the ways that we're not allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, and every other topic that we've mentioned so far. When we compare ourselves. So those are your indicators, those are your cues. Keep asking yourself these questions, like, is it really, do I feel that way? What do I really feel? What's going on with my body? Check in with yourself, get to know yourself.
Yeah. What do you like?
During the process.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And understand it's cyclical. You're going to revisit subjects that you thought you were fixed from all the time, because there's deeper layers of understanding. So just allow yourself permission to ride it out and see where it takes you. So you learn what else you need to navigate away from.
Exactly.
How else are you supposed to know? And that's that when you don't like how it is, it's okay. You're not going to stay there. I think people feel like they're going to get stuck there, and that's why they fear like going in there. But you're only going to get stuck there if you choose to. So again, that goes back to where your focus is.
Mhm.
So
And
that's
if it's
there
not
for
enough
your
to
information
change,
only.
yeah,
What
and
was
if
that?
it's not enough to, if it's not enough to change how we think about a certain situation to make it more bearable, okay? Because sometimes we just fall into a misunderstanding that this isn't where I'm supposed to be anymore. Sometimes we just, trip over ourselves being in a place that we love being, always have, but all of a sudden it doesn't feel right anymore. Okay, why? Is that an indication that you need to leave? Is it an indication that you need to look for something else? Or is it an indication that you just have a misunderstanding that needs to be worked out?
Yeah,
Because sometimes you don't need to go anywhere. Just need to look at it differently because you got sick.
right.
That's another form of surrender, is having the willingness to look at things without bias, without anger, without reaction, and looking at it from a what is actually going on here. If you do that enough times, or if you find yourself having to do enough times, well, then there was something that was trying to be told, but you just weren't ready yet. See, here's where it comes in. 4 years, okay, as a GM, until I was like, I can't make excuses anymore. I can't look for misunderstandings that I'm having. But there were things that I still needed to learn before I could say bye-bye. That's another part of surrender, is
Right.
understanding the journey to be had.
That's that stop comparing and take the pressure off and let yourself surrender to the idea that you're just learning about yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I could take several podcasts of stories of incidents. But the one thing that I promised myself, I would not leave anywhere in reaction. I did that once, regretted it for a long time, but I would not leave out of reaction. I would leave out of response, out of reflection
Right.
on my terms,
Right.
not because somebody had pushed me to that point.
Right.
And you can do the same.
Yeah. We're
Anybody.
each accountable to ourselves. That's why we say hit the pause button and reflect and decide what you're going to change. Because obviously you triggered yourself and you didn't like it.
Now, am I saying don't ever react? Nope. Because there are times that it needs to happen right then and there. And it's completely
Yeah.
healthy. But the more that you learn how to respond, the fewer times that you have of reaction,
Right.
because you're responding in the moment. Because you've made enough space so that anger can't create that wonderful hormonal release that the body somehow loves, even though it's unhealthy.
Right.
I don't know. I didn't design a human body. It'd be different if I did.
The human body is divine in and of itself.
Yes.
Maybe that's another area we need to release control over and understand that the body's on its own journey with you because it is directly affected by your emotional energy, your program beliefs, and what you do, what you choose to do with it. So it's on its own journey, just as a vehicle, just as a vessel.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we need to release control of the idea that we can change our body and just allow ourselves to do what our body needs to remain healthy. And that in it of itself will change your body.
It'll tell you.
Oh, it tells you all right.
It'll tell you. Oh, shouldn't have picked that up.
Yes. And
Shouldn't have
this
picked
is the what I'm talking about is basically getting to know your body's responses to everything is going to take you to just allow it to do what it does and be what it is instead of trying to shift the outcome of your body in certain ways. Just give yourself an opportunity to get to know what your body does.
Right.
Reconnect with yourself in that way.
And if you see one of those advertisements from people who have spent years studying the body's functions, whether it be mental, physical fitness, whatever the case is, check in. Do I need to pay attention to this? Oh, wait, I'm spending an awful lot of time focusing on this particular aspect. Is there a reason? What are you trying to, what are you trying to tell me?
Right. And you can't know that if you're too busy focusing on how society tells you to change your body and not focused on actually getting to know your body.
Oh my God, thank you so much. All of the wonderful designers in the world who have made beautiful clothing, jewelry, accessories, and all of these other things. Thank you so much for giving us the options. Can you stop shoving it down our throats and telling us this is how we should look?
Well, I guess
You know that
fashion evolves with society over time. I mean, if you look at clothing
exactly.
throughout history, it's
And I
made
bring
up.
that up, and I bring that up not just to, scold the social media aspect of it, but also because what makes you sing? What makes you feel good? Surrender to that, not to what everybody else says. That's the point.
Right.
You want to walk around in a muumuu because it's comfortable? Okay.
Yeah. When you surrender to who you are and allow yourself to be who you are, you're practicing self-acceptance, and you will get stronger and stronger and more solid and become unmesswithable. The
Yeah.
more you surrender and allow yourself to recognize just how powerful you are and just what a great manifestor you are, um, you're going to help yourself evolve and grow and heal.
Right.
It's all self-love.
And also surrendering to the fact that you're not always right.
It's part of
No,
learning.
yeah, absolutely. And that's pointing to our lovely mothers and parents
Yeah, or anyone else that
who want,
comes from our origin family or circumstances that programmed us, our original programmers.
we love you. We appreciate you. We're grateful for you. We're going to dress how we want to. We're going to get tattoos. We're going to get piercings because that's who we are.
Yeah.
And if we don't want to go to school without a jacket because we think we're going to be warm enough, well, let us learn the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Surrendering to what other people need and not imposing our own is another aspect of becoming more in tune with ourselves, more authentic with ourselves, because you watch, it's magical. The less you feel like a freak, the less you feel different, the less you feel like you have to own up to everybody else's expectations. It's magical because you'll see less of that around you. People will do it less to you. It's crazy, but it's a result of the vibration that you put out energetically.
Right. So if you're trying to control your outcomes and circumstances circumstances, you're still kind of in survival mode, and that's
Yep.
what you're going to put out there. But if you allow yourself to release all the judgment, the comparisons, and everything that we've talked about thus far, and surrender to your authentic self and trust that if it doesn't feel right, it's not right, and shift your focus to someone else in some other direction, whatever, you're going to get yourself to that place. You just have to trust yourself.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Surrender to
Oh,
the fact
you
that you're a
so
beautiful
do.
human being on a journey.
Right, right, right. And you
And
have to stand
life is,
tall in who you are.
yeah. And once you reach a destination, what next?
Right. What else do I want?
Are you ready to answer that question? Probably not.
No, with that,
Because
that's what
once you
keep a
get
vision
everything that you
board.
asked for, where you got to go from there?
This is where vision boards come in handy. If you keep a vision board or something for yourself that helps you meet your goals, make that happen. And then do a new one. Keep it moving. Just keep taking actions and steps in alignment with yourself, and more opportunities will appear for you, and things change. Things change for the better. Yeah. There's tools.
Closing challenge is going to come from me this week.
Well, what is that?
Said closing challenge is going to come from me this week.
Oh, okay.
Here's your homework. Every day, I want you to go into the wherever there's a mirror large enough that you can see your face and your torso at least. And I want you to look yourself square in the eyes. And I want you to do this 3 times a day. Every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. And I want you to say it with as much belief as you possibly can muster in that moment. Smile, frown, whatever it is that you need in order to express this. And listen to the body's response. Take note of it. When I first tried it, when I first started doing something like that, the little voice inside, no, we're not. We're not getting better. We're not getting anywhere. That little voice was holding me back from recognizing. And I challenge you to try the same thing.
Absolutely.
And watch the magic start to happen when that voice quiets and changes to, oh yeah, we are.
I love mirror work. I'm all for it. We have
And
the
it's
tools.
the shortest thing that you can do. You don't even have to stand there and throw affirmations that you may or may not believe about yourself at yourself. It's literally just, what does it take? 1.5 seconds to say? And it's literally just, okay, eye contact every day in every way, and I'm getting better and better. And you can hear something from inside immediately as a response. And based on what your response is, that's where you need to work.
Micah, is that something that you can type in the chat box?
Sure. You do it now, so I don't forget every.
Yes. And whilst you're doing that, I'm going to say a couple of words about affirmations, because I know affirmations are incredibly useful tool when you need them to be. If you don't believe in the affirmation, I will suggest that you reflect on your own journey with gratitude and compassion, and see those affirmations are already an aspect of who you are, because you're going to find them very readily in your own experiences throughout your history. You're going to prove it to yourself through your own experience, because we're human and we need proof. We like proof. Proof is in the pudding. You're the pudding, honey.
It's a sad fact that humans need proof and validation for what they're trying to do. But we do.
Well, you do until you don't. And that's what surrender is. I mean, you can't get there without trying to help yourself to get there.
Exactly.
So,
exactly. 100%. Well, I think we've been on 45 minutes. I think that we've thrown a lot at them,
We have,
for them to consider for this week.
yes.
Well, I think
Who
we're going
knows
to
what
wrap up.
next week will bring?
Who knows? We'll just surrender to the fact that we don't know until we do.
That's okay.
I
It
mean,
always
you know, I've actually had the thought, and then I'll close this up. But I've actually had the thought. I'm like, you know, there are other people who do podcasts, and they actually plan out exactly what they're going to talk about from week to week. They have a topic. They have all their guests lined up. This, that, and the other thing. And I'm just like, I'm not them.
that
And I'm
doesn't work for me either. We're both neurospicy, and I think this is spicier.
This is
I
just fun. Everybody knows that we're going to try and have one of these podcasts every week. They just don't know what we're going to talk about.
It doesn't matter. It's all good stuff. It's all useful. It's all practical and
Yeah.
relatable.
Exactly. And
And
that's
thank you
part
for
of being real, part of being authentic. And if you can just be humble and know that you're going to make mistakes, and sometimes it's in front of you don't know who. Like now for us, oh well, it's cool. This is me. This is Diane. And we are going to wrap that up. Thank you so much for joining us on Phoenix Talks today. And we will be back next week with another juicy topic, I'm sure. So
Yes,
until
we
then, make it a great week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend or whenever you view this. If you have any suggestions or topics you'd like for us to talk about, feel free to drop them in the chat or in the comments below. And as always, I'll make sure that we have the links so that you can find Diane and myself either on Facebook or on my website. So make it a great week. Much love to all of you. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.